Hello, everyone. If you can hear me loud and clear, give me a thumbs up. All right, excellent. Now, people are coming in slowly, and I just want to share with you that this particular seminar that we are doing right now have attracted in excess of 500 people, and we are now 50% of the numbers now, and let's give us another minute or two for the rest to join us. And I can see some familiar faces, or rather familiar names as well. Welcome. Okay. Now I have a 3 screen in front of me, just to make sure that I don't miss out any of the logistic or questions that you might ask, things like that. So you see that I'm looking up and down, just to make sure that I'm not looking elsewhere, just to make share with you. All right. Okay. Perfect. We're going to start in 30 seconds time. Okay, let me get started now. First of all, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this Friday. Very precious time that you are joining at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. First of all, I want to also congratulate everyone to join this, because this is a very special event that we organize, and very close to my heart. I hope that by the end of the session, we can inspire you in terms of how to be being agile, and also kind of apply some of the agile mindset that we talk about as part of our webinar introduction. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Jimmy Ong. I've been in the ICT industry for many years. I've done different kind of roles, technical roles, sales role, marketing roles, leadership roles, and I have just left the industry about a year and a half ago. And being truly agile, I'm also doing a lot of stuff right now. I'm actually a senior coach with Agile Asia, training in NTUC LearningHub as well. I teach in the Polytechnic, and also in the Institute of Adult Learning. This is all about me. Because we have so many people join us today, it's so important that I also want to kind of understand where you guys coming from, just a little bit about your industry, your roles, and your current working status. I want to do a quick polling, and with that, I want to pass over to the polling by my colleague. So Daniel, can you do that for me? Okay, this polling will take about 30 seconds. There will be 3 questions being asked. please scroll down, and once you answer this, you'll submit your question so that we'll review the answer. And it will be useful for you to understand who are the rest of people joining us this afternoon in terms of the profile. All right. Yeah, if you cannot find the listing of which industry you came from, just put others. I think that'll be fine as well. Okay. Perhaps we can, yeah, okay, no problem. Perhaps you can see the results. Okay, let's take a look. So, okay, we have the highest for my education. Thanks for joining. Manufacturing and banking, finance. These are the top three, right? And retail, and of course, we should have others, but we kind of missed that, but that's fine. Okay, so we know the industry now. And which role you came from, right? Sales and marketing, or the highest is others, but you know, sales and marketing being the highest, general management. And okay, 53% employed and 26% underemployed. I mean, seeking employment. Okay, this is great. Thanks for sharing. Now, it's useful to know because Agile can be applied not only when you're seeking employment for Agile roles. We're also looking at how can you be more Agile in doing work in your current employment as well. So let me share my screen now. Okay, let me continue. Now, today's session is really important, and we only want to cover 4 topics, right? Why we do Agile, what is Agile, and how to be Agile. And the last one, I thought is very useful because the bigger question is that who needs Agile? Whether you are seeking employment or you are working for a company, or in fact you are a business owner, that will be a big question to ask, right? How do we fit into Agile mindset into the environment that we are operating in? So this will be the sequence that we will do today. At the end of the webinar today, we will have a Q&A. And I wanted to also give more time for Q&A because perhaps you have a different kind of question that you want to ask me, or in fact, we also have a panel of panelists that can answer those questions. So I shall begin. Why Agile, right? The important thing that we need to notice now is that the world is a new world, right? And we are very familiar with this, right? VUCA, right? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The more important thing is that what does VUCA means to us, right? What does this uncertainty and complexity in the world means to us? That means that we can't actually work for plan that is a longer plan, right? A lot of planning cycle have cut short from a 3-year plan to a 1-year plan to a 6-month plan, right? So for planning perspective, it's not possible because change is constantly happening. As a matter of fact, COVID was unexpected event in 2020, and if you look at now, it's about 9 months ago. And that adds into the already very complexity world into a even more chaotic world. I would say that, before the World Economic Forum talked about VUCA, they never talked about COVID-19, right? And now that COVID-19 come in, they have to relook at the agenda and say that what will be the post-dynamic cost problem for the world and the job of tomorrow. And the other thing is that the priority will change, right? For company, because of the COVID and the situation, that created a lot of uncertainty and the shift in technology and of people adopting a technology that actually have made certain work redundant. And that also means that we need to relook at how do we mitigate ourselves. And more importantly, to every one of us, is about job change, right? If you are currently unemployed, this is good, but you have to think about after COVID, if the company will change the priority, so how will we fit in terms of reskill and upskill to be relevant for the new customer requirement or the business requirement? So just to keep people intact here, to say that because the new world is a different world, it's a VUCA world, that responding to change, which is part of Agile mindset, is really important. The next thing we want to talk about is Industry 4.0, and most of you understand Industry 4.0. In fact, this was talked about in about 5 to 8 years ago, that everything is going into automation. And you will heard about IoT, Internet of Things. We'll talk about 3D printing. We'll talk about artificial intelligence. But what's more important thing here is this. If you look at the industry that is moving forward in 2025 in Singapore, I'm talking about Singapore, you'll realize that it's all centered around 3 areas. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning as well. And this artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to change the way that we operate in the new world. I give you an example. We often think about digital marketing, and how that being transformed is because of we have more information about data. We have more information about learning user behavior. And that means that the traditional marketing will no longer be useful, because we want to personalize our understanding of consumer behavior through learning of data that we can actually personalize our offering to our customer. And think about AI, machine learning, and this will be the area that we're going to focus from the government agenda perspective. And if you will look at all the learnings possible, whether from a skill future, there will be plenty of opportunity to look at how we can get ourselves relearn on artificial intelligence and machine learning. But more importantly, this is I would say the most important slide that I want to send a message across. While the world is changing, the industry is changing, the business expectation didn't change, right? There are 3 things that business is looking for. Number 1, reduce risk, increase predictability, and more importantly, increase business value. And this is very difficult to do, right? You think about the VUCA world that I said earlier on. If the world is changing and constant changing, how do we reduce risk? And how do we predict what's going to come up in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year? We can't even plan for 3 years or 5 years, right? That's when it's important to kind of adopt the agility mindset, because Agile give us a framework, the tools and the processes, and more importantly, the mindset to mitigate and deliver the business expectation, like I just mentioned, reduce risk, increase predictability, and increase business value. Now we have covered the why Agile, right? In the operating environment have changed. Let's come to what is the definition of Agile. And if you go to a Google search and then you'll find Wikipedia have this definition, I kind of adopt from there for us to kind of start to get a generic definition. And it really just starts with software development. When Agile practice involve discovering requirement and develop solution through collaborative effort of self-organizing and cross-functional teams and their customer. And how they do that is doing what we call iterative process. And they are doing that by increments and values that they create in a short burst of time. And there is a term for it, which is called sprint. And we will discuss that a while later. But just take the broad description here, right? It starts with software development. And why it starts with software development is because software is the one that is forever changing in terms of customer requirement, right? So it started with that and continue to discover requirements through iteration of understand a customer requirement and solution and work together as a cross-functional team. On Harvard Business Review, they have a different definition, right? They say Agile methodology involve new values, principles, practice, and benefits, and a radical alternative to command and control style management. That bring Agile into a next level, right? And I would call it, just a process and tools to a value and principle, right? Value and principle. And we'll discuss that very, very shortly. In 2001, many software developers come together and kind of, because of the rapid changing, and come together to say that let's create an Agile Manifesto. And there are 4 values that they put forth. And this is something that I want everybody now to kind of take a picture, take a snapshot and kind of remember these 4 values. Because these values will kind of define how are we going to do Agile differently, right? And I'll cover each item briefly. And later on, if time allows, I will spend more time in terms of clarify any question that you might have. Now, the first value is called individuals and interaction over processes and tools. Now, you think about IT software, it's all about using processes and tools, right? And in the old days, it's still using, but it's not as popular as now. We call it waterfall, which is a project management way of managing projects, right? It's a waterfall, like one after another, and then the value created at the end of the project. And there are a lot of tools and processes like Gantt chart, things like that. But the first value that actually kind of inform us is that developers should keep an eye should keep everybody chatting regularly, work together to solve the problem faster. This is very mind-blowing because they are saying that, yes, process is important, but we want you to kind of talk to each other. We want to discuss with each other, communicate, right? Just spend 15 minutes every day. We call it a stand-up meeting, daily stand-up, 15 minutes. Just to kind of align and synchronize. And it's kind of interesting because in project management, 80% of the reason why project fails is because of communication, not because of not completing the project. It's because of setting the wrong expectation. People are not working together, right? So actually promote individual interaction as the first value. The second value is called on working software over comprehensive documentation. And this is the particular one that actually kind of help the business owner start to think about why Agile is very useful and start to help customer wanted to go after the Agile practice. Because this statement informs us that outcome is better than output. Let me repeat, outcome is better than output. You can create many documentation. That is called output. Is it important? Yes, it's important. But you need to deliver something that's working. Because it starts from IT software, that's why the statement says working software over comprehensive documentation. As we progress and Agile is adopted by the world in the different industry, like some of you from different industry, education, manufacturing, right? We are not talking about just working software. We're talking about working processes, working campaign for marketing, right? Working solution, working product for product people, right? So this thing about it is that what customer wants, and this is the one that they value, is something that is working. This one is important for one just one single reason: customer. Business, the reason business is in business is because they have customer. And this actually help the company to kind of think about, if there are so many things to prioritize, I should be talking to the customer to understand what customer value the most. And we will prioritize based on what customer think is the best value at that point of time, right? So customer is the center of everything over contract negotiation. The last value is called responding to change over following a plan. Now, I really like this because traditionally, and we talk about planning, right? Planning for 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And as a matter of fact, I used to run strategy planning in my ex-company. And that was something really interesting. But does it fit into the changing world that we talk about, where change is only constant? You will not, right? Because every 6 months, 3 months, in fact, 1 month, in fact, things is changing. So the plan is important. We need a plan, but we need to respond to change. And I have a quote here, right? Planning is important. The plan is not. Let me repeat. Planning is important. The plan is not. And planning is important because you went through the process of planning. Just to be sure here is that in Agile, it doesn't mean that you don't plan. And if things didn't go well in your workplace and you tell your boss to say that I'm being Agile, that's why I didn't plan. No, that's not what we're promoting. You still need to be planning, create a plan, but respond to change, right? Respond to change. That's the idea. Now you can see this picture, and I choose this picture. I really love this one because it's like iceberg, and on top of the iceberg and below, what's below is actually something is a core, right? So how do I explain this, right? There's a set of tools and processes and framework and methods on Agile. We call it Scrum, Kanban, Extreme Programming, SAFE. There are plenty that you can find in the market, and they are all very useful. These are called practices, but this practice is just practice. Below the iceberg is actually what we call the value, the principle, the purpose, right? And this is called the mindset. And if there's one slide you want to take away, this will be the slide that you want to take away. Being Agile versus doing Agile, right? What does do Agile means? Doing Agile means I do the practice. I do Scrum. I do Kanban. I do extreme programming. Yeah, I do Lean, right? So these are all what we call processes or methods, right? You're doing. But if you are not being Agile, then you are not really Agile. I want to give an analogy and also a metaphor so that that helps us to understand this better. And I think this is important. Let's say I want to be, let's say I run every day, right? I run 5 kilometers every day. right? So that is doing Agile, because that's called doing exercise, right? Doing exercise. But does doing exercise make me healthy? If every night I still go for my good food and go for my alcohol, no, I need to do exercise and being healthy, right? Do exercise and being healthy. So the actually being healthy is important, but you need to do exercise. So I want to leave this point behind, and I thought it's very useful. We cannot do without being, we cannot being without doing. And to do that, what it means is that knowing by the doing being as a doing. So you need to know, then you do, then you being. That kind of develop the mindset that I talk about. How do I do Agile, right? How do I do Agile? And I'm going to introduce this framework called Scrum, right? And as it described here, is a framework where people discuss complex adaptive problems while productively delivering product of the highest possible value. How they do that is 3 roles, 5 events, 3 artifacts. Now, if you attend courses before on Scrum, you know what I mean. If you have not attend anything, any courses on Scrum, go sign up for a Scrum course. Is really useful for one simple reason: it helps you to prioritize. It helps you to have Agile framework to address complex problem, right? The next methods we talk about is called Kanban. And Kanban should be very familiar with every one of us because this has been there for longest time, right? In the 1940s, when the Toyota management production system started, they start to look at the process. They can actually reduce waste or eliminate waste. They use this thing called to do in progress and done, right? And this is adopted into Agile methods because it helps also to limit work in progress. It actually managing flow and also visualize flow. And this is useful because when we see something visually, and this is how human beings work, we see something visually, we are able to kind of work on it, and we kind of able to follow the progress. And more importantly, we are able to prioritize, right? So this is Kanban. Now, the reason why I share only, I'm going to share only 2, Scrum and Kanban, because Scrum is 60% usage in the current Agile adoption. So in the world when people is about in the world that people adopt Agile, 60% use Scrum, 20% use Kanban. Scrum and Kanban, 80%. So once you learn these 2, you kind of able to practice Agile. Who needs Agile, right? I think this slide will be very, very useful for many of you. And especially some of you say seeking employment. Based on World Economic Forum, if you can see from my screen here, product owner, which is a roles in Scrum, Agile coach, Scrum master, delivery lead. Out of 10 jobs, 4 jobs are under product development. Emerging jobs are in Agile territory. And they are not small jobs, they are large scale, right? They are large scale, right? That means there's a lot of opportunity once you start to adopt or learn some of the techniques as a role in Scrum or as a product owner. I just want to give a quick example. Recently, I met up with my friend who has been looking for a job for a while, a full-time job, because she has been doing contract job for a long time. And last year in December, I actually recommend her to say, since you're a project manager, do you want to learn something about Scrum? And she went for a 2-day course in Scrum and got certified as a Scrum Master. And I met her, over the New Year lunch, and she told me that she just got hired in the stat board in Singapore. And the main reason why she got hired because she got a Scrum Master certification. And she's able to talk through the process during an interview. Now, what does that mean? That means that even in Singapore, a lot of company is looking at introducing Agile in their workplace, and they are wanting someone who have the certification of some of these Agile qualified certification, right? So this is really useful. That was World Economic Forum. I did some research in Singapore, and this was done during the COVID-19 after circuit breaker. And it's actually adopted from Straits Times and also from NTUC LearningHub, right? Skill in demand, after kind of interview 200 employers in Singapore in April 2020, have shared lights in terms of what are the top 10 adaptive skill and top 10 digital skill that is needed in Singapore by the employer. And I want to mention this adaptive skill. Agile is responding to change, right? Remember, respond to change over following a plan. It's talking about adaptability. How do we adapt? And number one skill is adaptability and resilience, right? Agile promote teamwork and collaboration. How did they do that? Because remember we talked about Agile team. Agile team is really small, about 3 to 9 people in the Agile team. And in that team, it's actually a collaboration and teamwork. And it promotes a lot of what we call effective communication. Remember I said individual interaction over processes and tools. More importantly, they talk about leadership, right? In the Agile framework, we are talking about servant leadership. That means that it's not you or I, it's about we. It's about a shared vision. Of course, on the right side, digital skill, you can think about other skills that might be useful. Remember, we spoke about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So some of these things as a result will turn out to be digital marketing, right? But you think about project management, it's also a skill. It's also something that we can use Scrum or Kanban kind of manage. So this is really useful also. And data-driven decision-making. Now, one of the manifesto in Agile marketing is talking about a validated learning over opinion. That means that data-driven. We will train people about how do you use data to make decision rather than listen to the hippo, which is the highest individual, highest paid individual in the room, right? So we wanted to create a culture where we use data to make decision. Now, because this is a 1 hour session we designed for you, and we want to take as much question as possible. Also want to kind of give you some information. How do we get Agile knowledge, and then start with Agile practice and develop an Agile mindset. One thing you have to remember is that Agile is a journey, right? You have to have the knowledge, practice it before you can gain a mindset. So the first step is, of course, to get the Agile knowledge. And I see Agile, which is a consortium for Agile, working with NTUC LearningHub, have launched a couple of Agile courses. And I'm proud to say that in the last 6 to 8 months, mostly fully subscribed, right? So one of the course that's running really, really well. And if you register now, probably you will get it at the, maybe sometime in February or March, I don't know. So for example, Agile coaching track, where we have Agile team facilitation, Agile team facilitation, right? And also Agile coaching. On the left side, you can see here that we have agility in marketing, agility in finance, agility in HR. Bear in mind that agility is not just a process and tools, it's a mindset. And this is how we are able to apply Agile in various domains. I'm glad to say that also because most of you come from different industry and you're wondering how to apply Agile in your respective industry. And this will be something that you can think about using the mindset, using the tools, using the processes to kind of see through how to make faster decision, how to make a better data-driven decision, and also create small successes through iteration in terms of sprint, and then get customer feedback. And before I go to question and answer, I also want to pass this session now to Isha. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. Okay, so allow me to then share my slide. Just a moment. Okay. Hi, everyone. So I hope the webinar so far has been very informative for you. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Isa. I'm from NTUC LearningHub. I'm from the ICT, the IT product division. So I take care of all the courses in ICT in NTUC LearningHub. So from listening to Jimmy on the importance of agile, right, and agility, especially due to these very volatile times of COVID and so on, you might be wondering on what are the courses that you can take. And he certainly have shared with you on the courses that are available through IC Agile. You saw the fan-shaped thing just now, right? And there's a lot of courses on the fan and what are the pathway that you can take. And one thing that you might be wondering is that, Isa, why particularly IC Agile? Why not I take other courses from other kind of agile training? So for those of you who might not be familiar with NTUC Learning Hub, and some of you might not because we did marketing everywhere, so you might not be so familiar with us. I like to introduce ourselves as like this. I like to say that you know how everybody knows NTUC Fair Price. So Fair Price is something that we shop in every week, right? I mean, we go to Fair Price to buy food and so on. So the social mission of Fair Price is quite simple. They want to make sure that food remains affordable for Singaporeans or people living in Singapore. And we do a similar thing, but the only difference is we make sure that upskilling remains accessible for people in Singapore and also companies in Singapore. And so when we went to Agile, we could have created our own courses. But we realized that there are certain certifications in Agile which are recognized globally. And it makes more sense for us to get great trainers and get trainers who are qualified to do this training and then to give this certification to Singaporeans and apply as much funding as we possibly can to make it more affordable. And so IC Agile is quite unique because normally Agile courses do not try to go so specific. So, for example, they teach you how to be agile and become a Scrum Master, a specific person in the Scrum team, for example. Or they tell you to how to do agility, but they don't tell you exactly like in your particular job role or your particular team, how can you really apply agile. And IC Agile goes very specific for your role and how you can apply it in your situation. So right now we have 3 courses for IC Agile that we already have gotten funded. We are trying to onboard more because right now we have excessive amount of demand for IC Agile courses. Okay, the first 2 are the ones that we've launched for a while now. So they are IC Agile Team Facilitation and IC Agile Coaching. So in Agile, there is a philosophy where you need to facilitate your team because you need to get them to get motivated or your teammates to be motivated to do the task that they want to do. So this is the kind of skills that you certainly need in an agile team. And so there is a specific course for it, which is IC Agile Team Facilitation. Upon completion of this course, and this goes together with all the IC Agile courses, if you are able to demonstrate that you can apply the stuff that you've learned, that means you have absorbed and able to demonstrate your ability in this skill, you'll be getting the IC Agile certification or the badge. So this is to show employers that we are not saying that you are an IC Agile coach or something like that, but we are saying that you have the knowledge of how to apply Agile team facilitation, Agile coaching, and so on. So this is useful because employers want to know whether you're educated in this or not, whether you know this. So this is evidence that you do. So the first one is in an agile environment, the team depends on facilitation skills and to lead them, and this is the cost. And it is 2.2K, the original cost fee, but right now till June 30th for individuals, Singaporeans and PR, okay, only. So if you gotta be Singaporeans and PR, and if you pay it for yourself, individuals, right, you'll get a massive 95% funding. So you just have to pay for 5%, which is $117.70, which you can pay for if you have your SkillsFuture credit unused. You can pay for it using your SkillsFuture credit. Okay, so that's one. Next one is Agile coaching. You saw it just now in the World Economic Forum. You saw that Agile coaching was one of the emerging jobs. And in fact, it's one of those jobs that is getting bigger in the finance sector, especially. We see it a lot in banks, Agile coach. And so it's a 3 days course. It's 3.5K, and you'll get a funding of 95%. So you have to pay for only 5%, which is $175. And you can pay that using the SkillsFuture credit as well. Again, Singaporeans or PR, and you got to pay it as an individual. Okay. Okay, the last one is a new one, and we are gonna try to onboard more of this kind of courses in the future. So it's called IC Agile Agility in Marketing. So you notice that it's how to apply agility, agile, not only in your team per se, not only in your team, but in your departmental processes. So in marketing, what do? You do lead generation, right? Don't you? I mean, we typically try to create leads. How do I transfer the processes in a marketing team to be more agile? And that's what it is. It is about using applying agile principles to marketing kind of functions. And this certification is part of a specialized journey within the business agility track, one of those fan thing that you saw just now. And it's aimed at people who are primarily focused within the sales and marketing function. So again, the cost fee is quite the same as the Agile team facilitation. It's 2.2K and $117.70. So we are getting this a lot of uptake for this one because every time we launch a new IC Agile course, there's a lot of people actually enroll from the previous ones. Those who have taken the past ones, they take the agility marketing. So these are the 3 courses that we have so far. The funding application process do take quite a bit of effort and time for us to do. We are trying to onboard more. So hopefully in the future we have for HR, for products, we are trying to onboard more. Agility in specific departments. So again, the premise behind this or the philosophy for why we do this is we want to make Agile certified training accessible to Singaporeans or to people in Singapore, and you guys can get access to this. Okay, let me see. Eligible for Singapore citizens. You can use UTAP funding as well if you are NTUC members, but you must max out your SkillsFuture credit first. So you must finish up all your SkillsFuture credit, and the rest of it, if you don't have enough, right, you can apply UTAP. Or if you're PR, you don't have SFC, SkillsFuture credit, you can use UTAP. Okay? And it's till 30th June only. After 30th June, right, it will go to 90% funding. So from now till 30th June, 95% funding. After 30th June, 90% funding. So it'll be double the fee that you see here. Okay? If you're keen to sign up, you can do 2 things. The first thing that you can do is you can sign up through our website. So our website, is there, you can sign up there. But the form is a bit more complex. I mean, there's a lot more things for you to enter. Another way for you to do it is I just created a simple MS Forms. for you to just fill up your name, your handphone number, and your email address so that I can get our sales team to contact you directly. This will make it a whole lot easier for you to, just get someone to get back to you, lah, basically. Okay, so this is something that I just prepared to make it a bit easier for you. I'll also paste this link right to the chat so that it makes it a bit easier for you to get access to the link. Just let me just paste this. Yeah, the delivery mode for these courses are all on VLC. They are all done virtually. In fact, most of our courses are now all virtually done, unless there's real reasons to have a computer or something. Then otherwise it'll be all done virtually. And also, we are a believer in virtual mode of training. I think in Singapore, since the pandemic, we've seen a lot more virtual training happening. But in a country such as Europe and the States and so on, virtual training is typically the way they do it. I mean, quite often. And we've seen quite a lot of success from our trainees in the past, giving us very positive feedback on the virtual training. So all of this is done in virtual live classroom mode. Okay. Okay, I think I should stop sharing this and start looking at the question and answer. So, Jimmy, can I have you back?
Sure. Hi,
Okay, let's
everyone.
have a look at the question and answer. If you guys have questions, you can type into the question and answer box and we'll try to reply to you.
Okay. So, Isa, let me try to attempt to answer some of the questions which I thought was useful. And then there are many questions on some admin or logistic or some clarification. I think we can reply through the chat as well. So let me just quickly run through the interesting question. Peggy asked a question on which course can be recommended for those from banking, right? In fact, Peggy, just share with you in the courses that I took, there are many people from banking, in fact. And why I say banking, because banking is one of the industry that is doing a lot of agile rollout in their practices. So I can remember a few join us from Standard Chartered and OCBC. And in fact, DBS is one of the bank that is running a lot of agile practices as well, except from private banking side. So it's in fact very, very useful. And what courses will be useful for them? I would say that for now, we actually have 3 courses offering. We will have more coming. But out of the 3, I would say that perhaps you want to go for the team facilitation if it's entry in terms of learning agile, because that is the first entry going in. But especially if you want to do marketing without doing a lot of facilitation, that's also possible. One thing to take note is that all courses, we will make sure that we will cover a little bit on the agile values, principle, and mindset, because that is the art and science, and also the thinking behind how we do certain things, right? So I hope that answer your question.
Yeah, there's another question. Yeah, Jimmy. I'm not in marketing, but I'd like to know more in that aspect of marketing. Can I qualify for agility in marketing? I mean, who is agility in marketing for? Is it for people already in marketing, or
Yeah. So I would say that we have attracted people from different industry, from different domain. Strictly, if you ask me how to best optimize in terms of learning process, if you are already from marketing, then you will help you to learn the agility in marketing. How to be
yeah?
more agile, like what Isai mentioned earlier on, how the traditional marketing have transformed themselves, right? So you were able to pick up the agility in marketing. But if you do not have a marketing background, I think not to worry as well, because I will be sharing the 101 of marketing concept from 4P to 7P, and then straight into my 4P is promotion, pricing, place. Yeah, and how do we then actually zoom down into the agility in different aspect, right? So there will be certain a learning process. I just want to inform that, of course, if you don't have marketing as a background, you have to work a little bit harder. just go through the process. And being agile means being open and just get little increment through the courses. So I thought that would be helpful.
Yeah. So the next question is pertaining like okay, we've attended one of our person, the participants here is asking they have just attended agility marketing this week. Do you think it's still useful for him or her to go for agile team facilitation? Does that make sense though?
Absolutely, I would say that just go with an open mindset because we are teaching different things. Now, like what you said, Isa, earlier on, marketing is a specialized course that we actually look into uh, certain vertical domain now, right? Is it in HR coming soon, or in marketing or finance, right? But facilitation is something that we do every day, right? So we're talking about the ability to help to get two-person work together and collaborate. And I would say that go ahead to attend. And more importantly, after you attend, then give us feedback to say that does it help you? I think that go with an open mind and uh, attend the team facilitation. In sequence, I would say that you go team facilitation first and then coaching later, because agile coaching is a little bit more advanced than the facilitation, because we will be going into a process of coaching where you ask question, you ask important questions, and that need to build upon a basic of agile team facilitation. So I will recommend team facilitation and then coaching.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me see. Okay, this one is a good question because we do not want to overstate the ability of the certification as well. And so, an anonymous person is asking if I get the IC Agile Team Facilitation certification, am I qualified to be an Agile trainer?
Um, I, I would say the yes and no. Yes and no. Why I say that? Because some people has been already doing training all their life. They just need to get themselves kind of understand the agile process. In that case, your experience will be really helpful in terms of uh, going through the journey of the agile trainer in the long term. And will faster, right? But I also want to set an expectation here. Let's say you don't have any training background, then you take an agile team facilitation and you want to be a trainer. I think it might be a bit stretch. And the reason I say that because I came from a long time training uh, uh, background, right? Not only in the professional trainer what I'm doing right now, also in my previous life in a corporate setting. And even do training, there's also a path in training under Institute of Adult Learning. Just to mention that you can explore yourself. But that's how I'll answer this question. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so certainly the cost itself wouldn't be in any way sufficient for you to become an agile trainer, because it is certainly a course of of a fundamental nature. I mean, for trainers, typically we go. You need to have certain history of being in agile and training and so on in order to even qualify. So we require like very deep knowledge in order to be the trainer. What is the difference between agile? Okay, so this anonymous. What is the difference between agile, Scrum, and PMP and CAPM? What's the difference between all this?
Okay. So great question. Thanks for asking that, and hope I can kind of clarify that for most of you. Now, Scrum is a framework. It's agile under the agile value and principle. It's a framework. Under the Scrum, there will be three roles called Scrum Master. They will call Product Owner. Now, if you want to find out more, you go and search Scrum, then you will realize that there are different kind of certification process you can go through. But that is a very specialized role in the Scrum. We are talking about the Agile, where they encompasses all different kind of agile methodology or framework like Kanban, Scrum, XP, Safe. And these are all different processes, tools or framework you can go to get certified. My suggestion for people who wanted to, before you go into a Scrum or Kanban or other methods, go to the Agile classes, and then we will kind of introduce you in very clear fashion. And if you're really interested, that's when you go into the specialty. Just like you going to a university, right? You go to first year, what to do? You go to general, then you go to specialize, right? In the area of interest.
Okay, great. How about PMP and CAPM? How are they different from Agile? Is what he was asking also.
I think the project management is still considered one of the really useful skill set that people need to kind of acquire. And being agile means that we not saying that the project management or old way of doing traditional project management using waterfall is obsoleted. It's not saying that. Being agile means that you understand that there are different methods of implementing a project. So it's different because Agile use a process called Scrum, a framework called Scrum, where you actually create increment at the different sprint, where you actually deliver value faster in short period of time. But in project management, you actually use waterfall, where you deliver value at the end of the day. Now, there are some industry you cannot use Agile, right? I give example, you are in construction. You cannot just use Agile way, because you need to build the foundation before you say you build one piece of the building. You can't do that. But I will also say that you still can use agility in construction by you can pilot. For example, you pilot a 10 flats in Pongo, whether it works or not. Then you actually pilot the other roll out in the bigger scale, right? So it's a mindset. It's not just a process.
Okay. Okay, I'll just answer a couple more questions because we really got too many for the couple of minutes that we have left. So one important questions that I think we should answer is there are three courses that you've introduced so far. Do you need to take it in sequence, or you don't really need to take it in sequence? So there are first adult facilitation, coaching, and marketing. So how do I take these courses?
Because the team facilitation and coaching is part of the coaching pathway, you should take team facilitation and then coaching. But if you're not interested in the coaching pathway, which is talking about how do we help people to be better, bear in mind, facilitation and coaching is not I do the work, is I help people to get things done, right? It's the process of getting things done. So if you are not thinking of that, you would go to marketing. It's good enough. You can straight go into agile marketing, because if that is something what you want, then go for it.
Okay, I'm going to combine two questions into one so that we can just cover a bit more. One is asking is that will you recommend agile sales and marketing course to real estate agents, which also do both of this? Will it be useful at all for real estate agent? And one more for finance professionals. How is it useful in finance professionals? In what kind of job role will it be useful in finance?
I would say the agile marketing will be useful for those two scenarios just mentioned, for one very simple reason. Now, IT software traditionally don't spend time with customer. It's actually delivering project for the product owner or the key stakeholder. They don't see the customer that often. But in agile marketing, we're talking about marketing being one of the key functions that talk to customer. And think about the agile principle, we say that customer collaboration over contract negotiation. That means that we focus on customer. And Amazon, why they are going so big, because they are using agile, where they say that customer obsessed. The business only make money because they have customer. And if you are in banking, finance, if you are in real estate, who is your biggest stakeholder? It's customer. So go for agility in marketing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to type for some answers right now. But okay, I think we ran out of time. There's really too many questions for us to answer right now. Thanks again for attending this program. I want to thank Jimmy again for that wonderful talk. If you guys have anything at all, the rest of the questions that you have, you do fill up the form and we'll get into contact with you. For example, I have saw some question on, so Isa, what other trainers do you have other than Jimmy? Then how do I know which trainer is for which program or which batch? You can certainly talk to our course consultant. They will be able to find out for this batch who will be the trainer. And if you have preferred trainers, you can go for certain trainers that you want. And so these are things that you can certainly get to us even after this webinar through our course consultant. Okay, so we really appreciate you being here. It's been amazing. There's a lot of you here. I hope you guys have a great rest of the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And thank you. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Jimmy, again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. Thank you.